Every technological revolution has a hidden layer, the part most people never see. The railroad had steel. The automobile had oil. The internet had fiber optics. And artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence has compute. Enormous amounts of compute. Every conversation with an AI, every generated image, every translated document, every scientific model requires staggering amounts of computational power, which raises an important question. What company built the machines powering the AI revolution? The answer isn't OpenAI. It isn't Google. It isn't Microsoft. The answer is a company that started by helping people play video games. This is the story of NVIDIA, the company that became one of the most important infrastructure providers of the AI era. Before we begin, let's address a common misconception. NVIDIA did not invent artificial intelligence. It did not invent machine learning. It did not invent neural networks. It did not invent large language models. And it did not invent generative AI. The breakthroughs behind modern AI emerged from decades of research conducted by universities, research labs, startups, and technology companies around the world. NVIDIA's role was different. It supplied the computational infrastructure that made many of those breakthroughs practical. And infrastructure often determines what becomes possible. NVIDIA was founded in 1993 by Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, Curtis Preem. The company emerged during the personal computer era when a very different technological revolution was underway. At the time, NVIDIA focused on graphics, not artificial intelligence, not machine learning, not large language models. Graphics. Specifically, making computer-generated images faster and more realistic. Few people realized this would eventually help transform AI. NVIDIA's early success came from the gaming industry. Video games demanded increasingly realistic visuals. More detail, more complexity, more speed. Traditional computer processors struggled with these tasks. Graphics required something different. Parallel computation. Many calculations happening simultaneously. To solve this challenge, NVIDIA developed a specialized type of processor, the GPU, the graphics processing unit. At first, the technology appeared highly specialized. Its future would prove much larger. One of the most fascinating patterns in Bay Area history is that technologies often become important for reasons their creators never anticipated. The transistor became the foundation of modern computing. The internet became a global communications platform. GPS became a consumer navigation tool. NVIDIA experienced a similar transformation. Researchers began discovering that GPUs weren't just useful for graphics. They were remarkably effective for certain types of scientific computing, especially calculations involving matrices, parallel operations, large-scale mathematical workloads. Exactly the kinds of calculations used in modern AI. A technology built for gaming was becoming a tool for science. By the early 2010s, artificial intelligence was experiencing a resurgence. Researchers achieved major breakthroughs in deep learning. Three factors were converging: larger datasets, better algorithms, more computing power. The first two receive much of the attention. The third is often overlooked. Without sufficient computing power, many modern AI breakthroughs would have remained impractical. Training advanced neural networks required enormous computational resources. NVIDIA happened to provide them. One of NVIDIA's most important strategic decisions occurred in 2006. The company introduced CUDA. CUDA allowed developers to use GPUs for purposes beyond graphics. Researchers could now harness GPU power for general computation. This was a pivotal moment, because hardware alone is rarely enough. Developers need tools, frameworks, software ecosystems. NVIDIA invested heavily in all three, and over time, those investments became a major competitive advantage. Most people interact with AI through applications. ChatGPT, image generators, coding assistants, search tools. What they don't see are the enormous data centers operating behind the scenes. Thousands of servers, thousands of chips, massive computational clusters. And increasingly, many of those systems relied on NVIDIA hardware. The company became part of the invisible foundation of modern AI. Infrastructure, not glamorous, not always visible, but essential. Then came the generative AI boom. OpenAI launched ChatGPT. Public interest exploded. Investment surged. Competition intensified. Suddenly, nearly every major technology company wanted more AI capability. And AI capability required compute. Lots of compute. Demand for NVIDIA hardware accelerated dramatically. The company found itself at the center of one of the most significant technology transitions of the 21st century. Throughout Bay Origins, we've repeatedly encountered infrastructure companies. Wells Fargo helped scale the gold rush. Intel helped power personal computing. Cisco helped power the internet. Salesforce helped scale cloud software. NVIDIA occupies a similar role in the AI era. Not necessarily the most visible company, but one of the most important. Because infrastructure companies often enable entire ecosystems, and ecosystems create revolutions. The Intel parallel. A useful way to understand NVIDIA is through comparison. During the personal computer revolution, Intel supplied the processors powering millions of PCs. The company's chips became foundational infrastructure. Today, NVIDIA occupies a similar position in artificial intelligence. If Intel supplied much of the brainpower behind the PC revolution, NVIDIA supplies much of the computational muscle behind the AI revolution. Different eras, different technologies, remarkably similar roles. Many companies create products. Fewer create platforms. Even fewer create infrastructure. Infrastructure companies influence entire industries because their technologies become building blocks. Researchers build on them. Startups build on them. Enterprises build on them. The impact compounds. And that's precisely what happened with NVIDIA. Its GPUs became a foundation upon which countless AI innovations were constructed. Throughout Bay Origins, we've traced a continuous thread running through Bay Area history. Fairchild Semiconductor built transistors. Intel built microprocessors. Cisco built networking infrastructure. OpenAI helped popularize AI. NVIDIA connects these stories. It represents the continuation of Silicon Valley's oldest tradition, building foundational technologies that enable future industries. The semiconductor legacy never disappeared. It evolved from personal computing to networking to cloud computing to artificial intelligence. And once again, the Bay Area found itself supplying the infrastructure behind a global transformation. Which brings us back to the question at the heart of Bay Origins. Why did it happen here? Perhaps because Silicon Valley repeatedly understands a truth that history often forgets. The most important companies are not always the ones people see. Sometimes they're the companies powering everything else. The innovator's ledger. Lesson 1. Infrastructure creates leverage. NVIDIA didn't need to build every AI application. It built the foundation others could build upon. Infrastructure often creates greater long-term leverage than products. Lesson 2. Technologies can find new purposes. GPUs were originally designed for graphics. Researchers discovered entirely new applications. The most valuable opportunities sometimes emerge from unexpected uses. Lesson 3. Ecosystems beat features. CUDA, developer tools, software frameworks, and partnerships helped strengthen NVIDIA's position. Products matter. Ecosystems matter more. NVIDIA became essential because it supplied infrastructure for an entire industry. What foundational capability in your market could become exponentially more valuable if others built on top of it? NVIDIA did not invent artificial intelligence. It did not invent machine learning. And it did not invent generative AI. What it helped provide was power. Computational power, infrastructure power, platform power. A company born in the gaming era became one of the central engines of the AI age. And in doing so, it extended Silicon Valley's semiconductor legacy into a new technological frontier. This is Bay Origins, birthplace of the future.